Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Kristina. Together we share ideas that we help, we are having so much fun this morning.
We've been doing this for a whole year now and you still flub that up.
Hello
and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Kristina. Together we share ideas that will help families. Oh my golly. It's an interesting show today.
It is.
Different. It's just the two of us.
It's just the two of us. And you're like, who do we talk to? And it's like, well, you can talk to that guy there and I can talk to her over there.
All right, let's do this.
So today is our anniversary edition. So we've been doing this for a year and it is also our anniversary. We were married on October 19th.
1991. 32 years ago. We said I do to each other.
But you know, the funny thing is there's a lot of times where people ask us how long we're married. I actually say longer because to me it's like the ceremony and the priest and the ring and all of that was secondary. That didn't matter as much as the commitment that we made to each other. So when I made the commitment that I was going to spend the rest of my life with you, that was when I considered myself married, because that choice was made, that decision was made, you know, we were together.
Exactly.
And everything that happened after that
was just supposed to be.
Wasn't, you know, the ring wasn't necessary. You know,
right.
if the ceremony and the priest and the ring actually mattered, then the divorce rate wouldn't be over 50%.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why lots of times, you know, people will ask us and he'll say, oh yeah, we've been married 33 years. And I was like, oh, only 32 years. But it lets us have this discussion, right? This discussion about commitment and relationship and how it can be different for different people, but at the same time, be very, very strong and be very, very useful to the way families develop and grow, right? And that is the beauty and why we thought it's a great time to do an anniversary show, because like he said, Bringing Education Home is also 1 year old. It launched on this week, actually October 14th of last year, 2022. It is now October 20th of 2023. I have 1 year and 32 years and all of those things. So what we're just talking about was just so super insightful and helpful, because it talks about those relationships. And that's what we've really been trying to do here with this podcast of Bringing Education Home, is making sure families know how to grow those relationships, grow those families, help be all of those things that can make a committed relationship happen over and over, time and time again, or to help those who are struggling to find those committed relationships, right? And for example, we had one of our recent shows that we just did released about 2 weeks ago, and it was about intimacy. And that recording was so interesting because we were like, oh, well, it's a little bit spicy, it's a little bit different, but part of the family relationship is the intimacy between parents, between the adults in the relationships, and that passes down to the kids and shows them what a great relationship looks like. So we were so blessed to have our guests and so many other guests come and join us on our show this last year. Thinking about that, what was one of your favorites that you've had during the years? I mean, we've had so many wonderful guests. I mean, we don't ever want to leave anybody out, but at the same time, there's those few that stick in our head.
Well, a big one for me was actually Jen Bruce. I'm actually right now going through her diet reset program again. But she was a fellow coach at Being True to You. She taught some of the classes in my cohort in my class when I was going through Being True to You. And then afterwards, she was my first coach when I went down to Mexico and for my first ibogaine treatment. And just the depth of knowledge that she has, the amount of passion that she has for the subject, and she's just a walking encyclopedia of physical health, emotional health, and just nutritional health, and she's just rock solid there. And she walks her talk, and it's really amazing.
Yeah. But that, yeah. And that's what we were trying to do, was bring in all those things. And Jen was actually one of our very first podcasts. So, you know, they say that your first 5 podcasts kind of set the tone, kind of help you get started, get people interested in your podcast and things like that. So we really, really want to make sure that we appreciate and thank our first 5 guests. And first of all, that was Marshall Gillen, because he was our coach and he interviewed us for our very first show and got this all launched, right? And then we had a wonderful lady by the name of Lynn Sears, who was a reading specialist and still helps reading.
She still is a reading specialist.
She still is a reading specialist. I keep saying that, right? Like they're in the past, but they're not. They're just in the past in the show, but not in life, right? But no, she is still doing her great work with reading. And then we had Haley, and then we had Jen, and just all these people. And so thinking about that, can you believe that we've talked to brain scientists, nutritionists, communication specialists,
education specialists.
Lots of us are education specialists, right? We've also talked to financial specialists.
We've talked to death doulas,
end of life specialists.
We've talked to Navy fighter pilots.
Yeah. And then also nature, getting your kids and family out into nature, right? This whole spectrum of people, and all of them very heart-centered, wanting to make sure that families learn and grow, right? And so to that, one of my favorite episodes, I think, was actually during Potapalooza. And here we go, we're giving a plug to somebody else, but Potapalooza was so much fun. We actually did it twice this past year. And what that is a day when a whole bunch of podcasters get together and tape shows with each other, right? And we got to meet some people that we hadn't expected to meet, right? And I loved when we met the laughing lady, Lynn.
She was a lot of fun.
Our cheeks were hurting at the end of that episode. And that was and that's the beauty of also this podcast, is I think we bring so much fun. A lot of people end up laughing during our shows. Yeah, we've had our serious shows, and we have our shows that are just kind of, you know, average kind of, but then we have our ones that we laugh a lot. Have we had any that we really cry?
I've had some where I was triggered and got kind of emotional about things
Right.
that we were working on, because again, we're talking real life stuff, and so sometimes things even affect adults. So there have been times where we were talking about like childhood bullying and communication that, you know, hit some deep sensitive spots inside of me that make things uncomfortable. And again, that's there to be talked about. That's about life. You know, nobody gets through life without being uncomfortable, without being unscathed. And so to hide that is not necessarily healthy. We need to be able to share our scary stuff and our uncomfortable stuff as well as we share the victories and the good stuff, because you know, people need to know that, you know, things can be tough and it's okay to keep going.
Exactly. And think about what a beautiful model that is for our kids, right? Showing them how to get through those tough times, those scary times, and how to just really, you know, be that model for our children. And that's part of what we talk about as well, is making sure that we are the models. We help the children understand. We talk about everything that's happening to the degree that they need to know. We also know that, you know, you don't share everything with our kids, but they know a lot more than what we do share with them most of the time. How about another one? Did you have another one that kind of stuck out as we were going through our list? Because we sat down, we looked at our whole list of all the shows. Oh, yeah, that's the other big thing. This is number 50, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, families around the world. I was looking at the show list, and this is 50. We've actually produced more than that. We've produced 55 shows. I put some bonus ones out because of those Potapalooza, those extra ones that we had. So 50 shows in a year, on target. I think we've been doing a really good job. What was one of those other ones that you really kind of stuck out?
Another one that stuck out for me was Spencer Jones, who's the Prince of Positivity.
Yeah.
Because again, a lot of the stuff about brain science, a lot of the stuff about optimal health and positive thinking, he lives that. He is out there. He makes that part of his daily life. And it really shows in his presence and his being. And there's a lot of the way that he moves that I would like to be able to move myself. But again, that's his path. Mine. So I can take inspiration from him. I can try and emulate a little bit about it, but that's his path. And you know, he helps people, and it's just really it's really nice to have people like that, where you can see the benefits of the positivity of moving through life. It doesn't mean that bad stuff doesn't happen to you, but it's about the attitude that you carry with it when stuff is happening.
Exactly. Yeah. And so another one that really hit me that I really thought was really amazing that we talked with was Cara Terrell. And she has been taking on those toddler years, those younger kiddos. And she came on and talked with us about, some of the things that have been happening over the years, especially since the pandemic, through the pandemic, and how it looks like children need a little bit extra, right? A little bit of a different thing. And we've been looking at that, and Vibrant Families is the same way. We know that our families and our children need something a little bit extra. And that extra right now, lots of times, is for parents to actually look at their children's education and take charge of it, right? We need to teach our children all those life skills, all those things that they aren't getting in the regular education system. So by taking charge of education, that means that you are talking with your children, you're doing activities with your children, you're working with your children, you're instilling those family values that is so needed. And then also giving them those life skills, having them help you clean around the house, having them help you wash the car, having them help you look at cooking, right? All of those different things that our children really, really need. Oh, that was the other thing. We talked to some college specialists, and when those college specialists start talking about are our children who are going to go to college, when they are ready to go, are they really ready? No. Right now, a lot of those kids are stepping out and they don't know how to do those basic things that I was just talking about. So it's been amazing talking with all of those experts from birth all the way up through college years, and then up to the adults, because remember, we've also had a couple of good talks about what adults need to do in those relationships.
Yeah. And, part of the reason that we are doing this is because we weren't all that very successful as parents when we were doing this. There's a lot of things that we could have done better, and prevented some of the problems that we're actually having now. So for instance, one of my sons won't talk to us. We can't see our grandchild because there something came up, there was a friction, there was a tension. We didn't have the communication skills. He doesn't know how to talk to us, and things just got strained. There wasn't that foundation. So a lot of the stuff that we are bringing about, these people that we are bringing out, is to help other people kind of escape some of the traps that we fell into. My wife is a teacher. She was a teacher for 27 years, and I worked in corporate, and we didn't homeschool our children. And we missed a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
And you only get your kids for so many years, and then there's a lot more years after your kids are gone that you don't have them. So, to focus on your children, to make that a central part of your life while you have them, we feel is like incredibly important.
Yeah.
And our society right now is kind of taking that away from us. It's like, oh, you put your kids in school, you ignore your kids. And, we were kind of from the generation, we're both Gen X, and, we were all like, children need to be seen and not heard. Right. So we were just kind of shuffled into the background. And that's also kind of how we kind of parented and went through life. We kind of followed the same kind of paths that our children did. But with society advancing, with all of the amazing things that have happened over the last 30 years, our children had a much different connectivity to the world, and a much different environment than we did.
Exactly.
And so our
a lot more information that they could get a hold of, right? A lot more influences on what they were thinking and what they were learning and how they were learning. All of those things come into play. And
that were taking their focus away from the family. And it's like, oh, hey, look at this. This is how they're doing that. That's how they're doing that. And so it started pulling the families apart because there wasn't a cohesion of values within the family, because they weren't talking, they weren't communicating. And so part of what we're doing here, part of what we're doing with the school and with this podcast is to try and help people start to see how important the children are about in their life, and to make education a priority, and to strengthen the family through this whole process.
Exactly. And one of the themes that runs through all of this is making sure that our children have a better life in the future, and something that we strove for, but we realize that doing that, making that life better for our children, we actually messed it up a little bit, because we know that children need structure in certain ways. We know children need to learn values. We need to teach them how to be successful and responsible. And if we don't give them those opportunities, if we do everything for them, what we call a helicopter parent nowadays, right? If we do everything for them, then they can't learn and grow and figure out what they can and they can't do. If we have the parent that is completely hands off, then those children are allowed to learn from all these other influences, and they don't have a direction, right? So some people say, oh, well, I'm just going to let them explore and figure it out on their own, so I don't influence them too much. Well, somebody else is influencing them. If you aren't doing it, then somebody else is. And what influences do you really want those children to have, right? What influences do you want your child to grow up with and grow and learn from? One of the things, oh, I just totally blanked. I love it when I do that. I have something stuck in the back of my head, right? And then it just like, boom. Yeah. Oh, one of the things I wanted to make sure that we also talked about was our inspirations, right? One of the reasons we want to also continue to do vibrant family education is some of those great people that have been inspirations to us. So our 10th episode, we made sure we had a great big good episode, and we talked to that Navy fighter pilot, Wiz Buckley. And part of that was because of what we believe is super important as far as the honor and respect to our veterans, those people who protect us, our first responders, all of those people, but also that they have given so much that we need to make sure we give back to them. So part of our vibrant family education is making sure our children understand the sacrifices that other people give, so that you can have the life that you want and that you can grow up to, grow through. So yeah.
Grow through.
Yeah, grow through. Be successful too.
Awesome. Yes. Well, you took that in a direction I wasn't quite expecting, so I didn't have anything to say to that one.
Nothing to say to that one. All right, perfect.
No, because like we seem to be going where, and then you like just doing these little dart off the paths, right?
Well, you know, when we don't have a specific topic, when we're trying to hit all the different wonderful guests and stuff that we've had throughout the year.
Oh, is that what we're trying to do?
We are. Yeah.
I thought we were more talking about our anniversary and well, how we stayed married for 32 years.
No, the podcast anniversary is the more important one.
Okay.
Just kidding. No, we love each other so much. And it is so funny because we get on podcasts and things and people say, wait a minute, you've really been together 32 years? It's like, yep, we actually have. All right. So we'll bring it back a little bit. I am super excited about the next episode that is coming up that we get to release next week. And it's episode 51. And we met this wonderful lady named Nicole. She is a PhD in education. And when we got together and we started talking, I don't want to give everything away, but it's amazing that all of our experiences that led us to creating and wanting vibrant family education and bringing education home to be here for parents, she was able to help us say, there's science behind that. There is actual research behind what you're saying, what you're doing. You have the experience. I have the PhD. And then we talked about all of that.
Yeah, that was really cool. I actually met her at a retreat like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with education. It was one of my woo retreats. It was about etheric entities and removal and energy work. And so met her there and really didn't know what she did there, and it didn't matter at that time because that wasn't what we were meeting for. But then, you know, we became friends and followed on Facebook. And then on Facebook, I started seeing her posts about how she was homeschooling her child and the ups and the downs, and it's like, and what she was doing in education is like, we need to have her on our podcast. So reached out, I was like, hey, remember me? Let's have you on our podcast. So I've known her for a while. And so these circles that you create in life, these random people that come into your life, sometimes they have amazing information for you to teach you. And you just have to be open and aware for it and see it. And so luckily, I had her in my feed and we
Yeah.
came across it. And so it was just such a synergistic
Yes.
a synergistic meeting. It's like we talked about what we were doing, and she talked about the research that she did to say, hey, this is really awesome and this is why.
Yeah.
So again, really great episode.
Yeah, and that's coming up. So we're looking at episode 50 right now. We're sitting here on episode 50 recording, and then I already have 4 more ready to go after this. So we're not done, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We are not done with bringing education home. It's going to be here for you. We're going to go out and find more experts, more homeschoolers, more people who can help talk about education and life and how to really reach our children, help grow our children, help raise those healthy, happy, and successful kids. I think that's about it. Is there anything else that we just want to make sure we said? Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you for being with us for a whole year through all of this. Hopefully you have been able to go through and pick up all of those nuggets, those special little things that we've dropped throughout the episodes, that all of our experts have dropped throughout the episodes. Even if you don't work with the people who we bring on our show, just the amount of value, I think, that you get from each and every show. Each and every show, you should be able to find at least 3 things that you could do that could help move your family into the direction that you wanted to go. So hopefully you've gone back, you've listened. If this is the first time listening to Bringing Education Home, welcome. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to keep recording and go back and listen to some of those old ones, because even though we might have started out a little bit rough, I think at 50,
I think we started off great. We had people right off the bat saying that we flowed real well. So
yeah,
we've always enjoyed doing the podcast, and we have great chemistry together because we've been doing this for a lot of years. And it's this is just a really fabulous thing that we get to do together.
Yeah. Again, one of those things that families can do together. I want to leave one last tidbit here before we go. And I hope somebody is still listening at this point. Lots of people do listen all the way to the end, but every once in a while we shut off. We were on somebody else's podcast this last week. And one of the things that the lady asked about was, how can families put into practice some of these things we talk about, like family dinners and game night and all of those different kinds of things. And what it came down to was the word busy is really, really not a good word for our families and for our lives. Busy is just one of those things that happens. We go off, we do things. And then another person we were talking to, actually, it was our coach. He said, well, we are so busy. And it's like, okay, then it's up to the parents, up to the adults in the family to really think about, do we need to be so busy? Can we maybe slow life down a little bit? Your child does not need to be in 5 or 6 different activities. Have them pick maybe 1 or 2 at the most, and make sure that you're in control of that family time. Make that family time a priority, right? Make sure that you're either taking all of Saturday afternoon and doing something together, or one night a week that you're really doing something together. Don't be on the go all the time, so that you don't have a chance to slow down and build those family values, build those family structures, and know that you are helping your children grow to be the best that they can be. So there we go. The major big tidbit of today, I think.
Okay, sounds good.
Is that good?
No, I like it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And join us. Come back here. Our shows are mostly released on Friday mornings. This one's going to be a little bit late because we recorded it a little bit different, but that's okay. Anyway, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Give us some likes, give us some comments. We'd really like to get that to more people. So let people know about Bringing Education Home and Vibrant Family Education. One very last thing, there is a brand new ebook available on my link in Facebook about some of the things that we've been talking about, 10 simple steps to educate at home. So if you want to go to grab that and start looking at some of these ideas that we have, that would be amazing. Go to Facebook, click on the link, find that there. And thank you for being with me for a whole year on Bringing Education Home. I'm talking to her right now. Thank you for being with me for 32 years, married, and longer than that as the love of my life. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I love you, and you make this easy.
All right. Bye for now, everybody.